Also on February 21st, this one, online harms bill coming next week, PM says, promises the focus is on kids, not censorship. We're protecting the children. We're not here to censor anybody. We don't want to censor you. Sure you don't. Prime Minister JT is promising that his government's upcoming bill to legislate against online harms will focus on making the internet safer for minors while not censoring it for the rest of Canadians. No, 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 no. Oh, hold on. What's this? Got it. Speaking to Edmonton. Oh, he was in Alberta. That's right. Didn't meet with the provincial government. So there's a bit of a hullabaloo about that, and we'll get to that. Speaking of Edmonton, Trudeau announced the Liberals will face the long-promised legislation as soon as next week, adding in Francais that it could come in several weeks. Members of Parliament are currently on a break week. The House of Commons, definitely not the House of Common Sense, but the House of Commons is scheduled to resume on Monday for 1 week, then not again until mid-March. Again, this was the 21st, so what? This was what? We're the 29th now. So this was a week ago. So this has already been, legislation has already come out, the bill's already come out, and it's already out in the public. But let's read this. Trudeau characterized some legislation as having been difficult to write because of the need to strike the right balance between protecting Canadians' freedom of expression, which he's so concerned about, I'm sure. You know, that small fringe minority of people with unacceptable views they are expressing, and instituting measures to better protect children. This is for all protect children, remember that. He vowed the bill would be very specifically focused on protecting kids and not on censoring the internet. Kids are vulnerable online to hatred, to violence, to being bullied, to seeing and being affected by terrible things online, said Trudeau. Those terrible parents that want to protect their kids from going under the knife or becoming a she-they with puberty blockers, you know, all those wonderful things that we're dealing with right now. If you don't see that the system is being entirely weaponized against you, you need to wake up right now. The school system is being weaponized against you and against your children. It's coming to destroy families. As we can see, the judicial system is maybe there, and I'm just keep peeking back into my studio here. I may have a guest who can come and give us some more insights today on the legal aspects of this, but we carry on here. We need to do a better job as a society, of protecting our kids online. The way we protect them is protect them in schoolyards, in our communities, in our homes across the country. I don't disagree with that. We definitely need to do a better job of protecting them, and you know, stop the government from coming to destroy them as they are. Trudeau first promised the measure during the 2019 federal election campaign, but a bill targeting online hate speech died on the order paper when he triggered an early election in 2021. He then promised to retable the bill within the first 100 days of his new mandate, but failed to do so. Not that I've been looking forward to this bill, but he has failed in many, many ways. That, at least he's consistent in that regard. He's corrupt and he's a failure. At least you know what to expect here. Trudeau's government presented a proposal that year outlining the approach it planned to take to legislate against 5 categories of online harms. Content that instead of violence, the non-consensual sharing of intimate images, child exploitation, hate speech, and terrorist content. So this is the thing. He's going to outline the approach it plans to take to legislate against 5 categories of online harms. Remember, online harms focused on kids, focused on protecting your children. Okay, you don't want to incite violence. Okay. Non-consensual sharing of intimate images. I don't understand why there's intimate images of children in the first place, consensual or not. They should not be shared. Child exploitation. I'm on board. Let's protect against that. Here's the thing. Hate speech and terrorist content. What does that mean? We have to get to the definitions here. And if it's subject to a judge, subject to a jury, like, how are we going to define what hate speech and terrorist content are? And we're going to get into the text of the bill and look at some of that. So that's the thing that, I mean, I don't know if we're creating little children terrorists here. Yeah, this is very worrisome terminology here. Many critics voiced concern at the range of content was too diverse and could create problems when it came to determining what fell into each category. Exactly. Viva Fry talks about that, actually. right here. Where are we? Viva, where are you, my friend? You are right here. Anyone who advocates, oh yeah, so he's asking here about what basically constitutes hate speech. Anyone who advocates or promotes genocide, how is the government going to define genocide? How are they going to define hate speech? This one stood out to me. It's okay to be white. It's okay to be white. Stop funding war. Stop funding Ukraine. Stop funding Israel. Sorry, Viva. Will these be constitute hate speech? If I say stop funding a war, am I promoting genocide? If I say it's okay to be white, is that somehow racist according to definitions? According to the definitions they're going to use. So very good questions from Viva Fry, and something that must be absolutely considered. Organizations like the National Council of Canadian Muslims also expressed worries that efforts to target terrorism-related online content could disproportionately affect their members. I actually want to go back to Twitter for a second. I'm reminded of something that I saw earlier in the week. Here it is. Check this out. So this is on page 46 of the Grand Prairie Police Services application form. Question 85, you have to do a self-assessment and a questionnaire. And it says, have you ever been associated to or been a member of any militant subversive organization or individual? For example, organized crime groups or gangs, white supremacist groups, illegal action groups, terrorist networks or cells, or freedom fighters. Interesting that freedom fighters, i.e. people that are critical of authoritarian regimes, would be lumped in with terrorist, white supremacist, militant, subversive organizations. Very interesting that a police service that's hiring a new municipal police service that has brand new, starting to form in Alberta, is asking this question on your application and grouping in freedom fighters with basically KKK, Nazi, actual terrorists, organized crime groups and gangs. Listen, if you don't like what the government's doing, if you like freedom of speech, then clearly you are a white supremacist Nazi terrorist. At least that's what the government's saying. And that's why this Online Harms Act, and that's why when it's talking about hate speech and terrorist content, is so unnerving, because we don't really know what that can actually mean. Anyways, privacy experts, civil liberties groups also roundly criticized the earlier proposal for giving online platforms just 24 hours to remove content flagged as harmful. Yeah, you want to give them 24 hours to remove the content? I have been waiting for like literally half a year for X to monetize me. Good luck on getting them to remove content immediately. Although they are pretty trigger happy when it comes to zapping content that, if you guys know what I'm talking about, if you say something a little bit spicy, it still gets removed from X, which apparently, that's why I made the big deal about being a free speech absolutist, because Elon Musk has said he's a free speech absolutist. Just not in all cases, I guess, which is not an absolutist, but I digress. Such a threshold would have risked encouraging companies to take an overly cautious approach, removing acceptable material preemptively for fear of running afoul of the rules they warned. And this is like what Pornhub is talking about. It will just block the content outright, and we'll just remove content just in case. It doesn't meet the threshold for being removed, but whatever, it's not worth the hassle, so we're just going to do that. Fear makes people do silly things. The government ultimately went back to the drawing board and assembled a new group of cybersecurity, online safety, and other experts to advise it on how best to proceed. I hope they picked better experts than they did when it came to defining what hate speech is, sending taxpayer dollars to antihate.ca, which is a government-funded communist organization, a subversive group that doxes, that harasses, that's funded by the government. So that's what I'm telling you. The system is weaponized against you. Absolutely. Sip of coffee time. Oh, never too late in the day for coffee. The upcoming legislation is now expected to pave the way for a new ombudsperson. Ombudsman, man as in humanity. Obviously, we know this, but language is important, and look what they're changing it to. to field public concerns about online content, as well as new regulatory role that would oversee the conduct of internet platforms. So our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, and the cabinet and whoever will appoint a friend of his to get paid to tell him what content is hateful and what is not. We're going to trust these experts that Justin Trudeau appoints because they're appointed. They're not elected. The new positions would be established as part of the forthcoming bill, which the government had hoped to unveil by April, said one senior official with knowledge of the plan. He has knowledge of the plan. It's very nearly ready to go, said the source, who has seen a draft of the legislation. The source spoke on condition of anonymity in order to discuss details they have yet to be made public. I will whistleblow, but as long as I get to keep my job, because that's how much they value accountability. The source said the bill proposes two very narrow instances of a takedown of online material: images of child sexual abuse and the non-consensual sharing of images. Two very narrow instances of a takedown, but not two narrow instances of a life sentence in prison. We will get to that for hate speech, because remember, we're here to protect kids. Online safety technology experts have for months been pressuring the governing Liberals to present a plan warning that Canadian children are currently less protected than kids living in the United Kingdom from roving migrant gangs. From the internet. The European Union and Australia for the same reason, where such laws already exist. We're concerned about their access online. Meanwhile, down at the border, unreal. Oh, here we go. Jewish advocacy groups have also called for the legislation amid a spike in anti-Semitic and other hateful rhetoric online in the wake of the Israel-Hamas war. Is it a war at this point? It's like calling something a conversation. It's not a conversation if only one side's doing the talking. You know what I'm saying? Also, is this about protecting kids? What about Palestinian kids? Just curious. Do we want to protect those ones too? Just asking for a friend. And high-profile cases of sextortion, including the death of a 12-year-old BC boy who took his own life last year after falling prey to an online sextortion scheme, have prompted renewed urgency from advocates as well as the federal New Democrats. We need stronger parents in the home too, man. We need mothers to be mothers, fathers to be fathers, and we need them to be together raising the children. It's not going to solve all of life's problems, but you restore the nuclear family and you restore the role of the nuclear family. You restore the role of the father in the house, of the mother in the home, in the family. It's going to take care of a lot of problems. Justice Minister Arif Virani would be the one to introduce the new bill after the file was moved to his desk from Canadian Heritage, which has shepherded through other media bills. Let me just skip through here. Trying to promote an online world where users can express themselves without feeling threatened or fueling hate. Online platforms have to mitigate the risk. They're going to establish a regulatory role that would hold online platforms accountable for the content they host and impose penalties on the services that fail to do so. Crazy. Mandate sure on the Johnson by federal law. And once again, if they're going to be mandated to comply with federal law in Canada, maybe they just don't offer their services in Canada. One might ask if that is partially the point. The source said the role of the new ombudsperson would be to field concerns from ordinary Canadians, not special Canadians like this ombudsperson, but ordinary Canadians like you and me who encounter problematic material or scenarios online. Sam Andre, managing director of a think tank at Toronto Metropolitan University that tracks online harms in Canada. Is there an anti-hate? Anybody out there? Any of my sleuths and detectives that research everything? God, there's a bunch of you out there. You guys are absolutely incredible, and you blow my mind with how you get access to information. But Sam Andre, I don't know. Is he related to anti-hate? I don't know about this think tank at Toronto Metro University that tracks online harms. If it's a managing director, if it's a Toronto Metro University tracking online harm, I bet you it is beholden to a certain ideology, shall we say. This guy Sam said in a recent interview that such an official, like that special ombudsperson, could help guide Canadians on how to reach social media giants. What frustrates people about platforms is you put your complaint into this artificial intelligence chat box and you have no idea if anybody has ever looked at it. Andre added it would be wise for the government to focus its legislation on material that is already illegal and ensure that platforms address them. Where things are more risky is where we're going to try to use this vehicle of online safety to tackle things that are not illegal, but that are distasteful or create some harm. I wonder what the litmus for harm is going to be. I know in cases of libel, it's no longer a criminal charge. That is a civil charge. Is this basically, like, does this now bring libel back into the criminal courts? Because is this basically a form of libel? Like, what type of harm are we talking about here? If I post about somebody that they stalk and they harass and they dox and it's untrue, as has been done to me by people of the left ideology, can I bring them under this legislation because they've created harm and have created financial damages? And how do you prove this? So I'm very curious how this is going to all play out, and I'm sure there'll be. I don't know how eager the system's going to be to get somebody through here, get somebody charged under this. They're probably going to be looking for examples to make to create some case law and to basically to lube the passageway for further prosecutions. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has already signaled his concerns about the idea of a new regulator and questioned who the government would appoint. I think we know who the government would appoint. Someone obviously beholden to Justin Trudeau, as he has appointed a lot of other people in various positions of power that are beholden to him. And we'll take a look at that as well in a bit. He told reporters on Wednesday that he plans to oppose the upcoming bill, calling it Trudeau's latest attack on freedom of expression, adding the Prime Minister cannot distinguish between hate speech and speech he hates. That is very accurate. I'm critical of Pierre Poilievre in a lot of ways, but I agree with him here. I just don't know how different it's going to be with Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives. We're coming up to an election in 2025, so we think, and obviously both sides are going to want to get people's votes, and Pierre is going to want to. He's going to want to endear himself to his base, to his voter base, to garner more support. So basically, if Trudeau says up, he says down. If Trudeau says blue, he says orange. If Trudeau says black, he says white. And that's how you're going to garner more support, just by taking shots at Trudeau. But let's not forget that what we read the article just prior to this, where the Conservatives were talking about identification and some sort of online age verification to stop children from accessing prawn sites. And while and there's a study, they're getting some sort of study committee to research that. That's also included in this bill, and that's what I was saying earlier at the beginning. Like, they're going to come in the guise of protecting children, and if you go weed out stuff about hate speech, he's going to say, well, don't you want to protect children, and make you look like the bad guy? So they're trying to put in like a lot, a little bit of, it's like a little bit of poison with the bill, right? A little bit of a backdoor, and hoping that no one will notice and that it will pass. So obviously, guys, please, everybody, make a big stink about this, because this bill is absolutely crazy. And once again, we're going to get to the bill. I just want to read a couple more articles here.